I'd like to call the governing board meeting for the Liberty Elementary School District to order today, November 27th, here at the Liberty Elementary District facility. We have all 5 board members present, including Board Member Parks, Guire, Bixler, Kenyan, and myself. Next item of business will be item number 3.2, our Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask Hannah Mosier from Freedom Elementary to come up and lead us, please. Miss Minnie will meet you over there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the great republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Hannah. Our next item of business is item 3.3, approval of the regular agenda.
Mr. President, I motion that we approve the regular agenda consistent with board policy BEDB and temporarily suspend the governing board policy which with this agenda may be inconsistent.
Second.
Have a motion by Board Member Kenyan, a second by Board Member Bixler. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks?
Yes.
Board Member Aguirre?
Yes.
Board Member Bixler?
Aye.
Board Member Kenyan?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We'll show that proof. 5 yes, 0 no. Next up will be our governing board and superintendent recognitions. Dr. Monroe.
President Todd, members of the board, this is my favorite part of the meeting. We're so proud of our students that are here tonight with their families. Truly, this is a parent payday. That's what I like to call it. And you should be very proud of your students. The Liberty Elementary School District will prepare all students for success in high school and beyond to achieve individual accomplishment, personal leadership, and contribution to their community. These students that are being recognized personify these values that make Liberty unique and special. And I will turn the recognitions over to President Todd.
Board members, if you'll please join me up front again. I couldn't have said it better than Dr. Monroe. This is definitely our favorite part of the meeting, and I think we have unanimous agreement on that one if we were to take a vote. But just a little bit about this. On behalf of Dr. Monroe and the governing board members and myself, we'd like to recognize 8 students from across our 7 schools. They personify the values that make the Liberty Elementary School District unique and special. These values are excellence and integrity. Excellence is exhibiting talent or quality that is unusually good and surpasses ordinary standards. They have high integrity in doing the right thing honestly. They work hard and exhibit caring. Because of their hard work and caring attributes, they make their school and classrooms a better place. Thank you to our students and their families for joining us. Students, when I call your name, if you'd please come up this way so we may recognize you. And at the very end, we'll have you stand right over there. We'll bring you over. We'll have a group photo. And I left my list right over here. And now for the important part. Okay, representing Blue Horizon, Sebastian Avalos. Looks like he's not here. Okay. Next up will be Estrella Mountain, Malin Selly. Okay, representing Freedom Elementary is Hannah Mosier. Okay, this month we have 2 from Las Brisas Academy, Giselle Rojas, Aguirre. Gary. Also, Elias Ruiz. Okay, representing Liberty Elementary, Michelle Proctor. Okay, recognizing Rainbow Valley, Isabella Valdovinos. Okay, representing West Star Elementary is Caden Cadwell. And it looks like he's not here. So one last thing, we'd like to thank NYPD Pizza. They donate a pizza certificate to each of our students every month. Community partnership is great, and NYPD's just done a great job for us. So with that, we'll take a big group photo, please. Come on in.
Everyone ready? Big smiles. 1, 2, 3.
Maylin, where's Maylin? Maylin, it's your birthday, right? We got to sing happy birthday to you. Come here. I'm going to put the microphone down for this because you don't want to hear me. I don't want to ruin her birthday. But on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, parents, we're going to reset the room. You're not obligated to stay for the rest of the meeting. If you want to, you're more than welcome to, but we'll just take a short break while we get the podium set up. And if you want to stay, great. If you want to leave, you can do that as well. Thank you for everybody who came.
Test.
We're good? Okay, perfect. All right, guys, we'll continue forward now with item 4.1, school newsletter. Dr. Monroe.
President Todd, members of the board, presented here for the board's review are the December newsletters from our school. We appreciate the board being present at a lot of our functions, and with the holidays coming up, there's a lot of great and exciting things happening at our schools, and you can see those highlighted here in the newsletters. Minnie will continue to send calendar invites as she communicates with the schools, but here are the school newsletters for December for your review.
Thank you, board members. Any questions?
I had a question. Got an email today, I believe it was around 2 o'clock, that there was additions made to the agenda. What were they?
Minnie, you want to speak to the attachments? It wasn't to the agenda itself, it was to the attachment, I believe is to the slide to the attachment.
It was, President Todd and governing board members, the email stated that it was, there was 2 additions to the attachments. One was the West Star newsletter that I received today, and then the other one was Dr. Mohorn had added 1 slide to her presentation. So there was no adjustment to the agenda itself, just in the attachments.
Okay, next up will be item 4.2, human resources presentation by Dr. Stephanie Mohorn.
President Todd, governing board members, we are here today to give you a presentation about human resources. We're starting with a quote, and it says, "Treat people like they have value, then let them prove you right." And that's really what we have been working on as a team. As you know, I just joined the beginning of July, end of June. And one of the things, my philosophy is, it's important to our team to emphasize the human and human resources. There are lots of times where we may have to say no to different things that are requested, but there's a big difference in a hard no and a soft no. We really try to find for people when there are situations that people are in, we really try our best to say, this doesn't work, but how have you thought about this? Have you looked into this? Really trying to find a way so we don't have to say no. And that's part of our, you all as a governing board talk a lot about that work-life balance, and that's what we're trying to help provide from our human resources department. Presumed positive intent. When people are contacting us, sometimes they are in the worst times of their lives, and we just always try to keep in mind that people are going through different situations and that they are coming to us for help, and keeping that in the back of our mind when they are contacting, and treat people with respect. It doesn't matter. They could be, sometimes we have people who may be yelling at us, may be talking a certain way, but we don't get to do that back. Again, we don't know what people are going through in their lives, and we are just trying to help them and find as many resources as we can for them. Our HR team, we are a small but mighty group, and I will tell you, I have a great group. You will notice that one person, Bethany Coda, is not here with us today. She has a little one at home that is ill tonight. First, I am Dr. Stephanie Mohorn. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for HR and Student Services. Karina Matsura, may I have you stand up, Karina? Nope, that's okay. She is in charge. So all of our HR generalists can help in anything, but they have little specialty areas that if you have questions about benefits, Lisa's our person. So for Karina, we've split up the schools. She's Estrella Mountain, Rainbow Valley, West Star. She does district office, special services, contracted services, and district and PD stipends. So that's for those principals that have questions about hiring different things. They go to Karina. Malia Collins, right here. She works mainly with Blue Horizons, Freedom, Las Brisas, Liberty, the Transportation Department, Maintenance, LEAP, Food Service, Athletics, and Club stipends. And Lisa Marshall, right behind me, she does all of our benefits and wellness, our FMLA, leave of absence, workman's comp, OSHA reporting, unemployment claims. Again, if anybody calls any of us in HR, if we can't answer questions, we can get to the person who specializes in that. And Bethany Coda, she does guest teachers, volunteers, fingerprinting, ID badges, and a lot more. She's a lot more support than just those. This is exciting to start off with some celebrations. On the first day of school this year, we only had one full-time teacher vacancy. I can tell you, was it last week? Nope, the week before. I attended the ASPA conference. It's a human resources conference, probably 350, 400 people. And talking to my colleagues in different districts, that's unheard of. So that's definitely a celebration for our district and you as a board. Thus far, we've only had one certified teacher resignation. Now, last year at this time, we had already had 10 teachers. To me, that speaks to that work-life balance that we're trying, we're not perfect, but that we're trying to provide and really trying to support our teachers and staff. 2022 certified teacher retention, this doesn't include retirees, was 69%. 2023 certified teacher retention was 80%. Again, not including retirees. This year we've already had two wellness initiatives, the vaccine clinic and the fall wellness campaign, and we've more than doubled employee participation from the previous year. Our 2024 open enrollment in the HDHP medical plan has increased 8% over the same time last year, and Lisa's going to talk a little bit about the medical and benefits. So those are definitely celebrations. I think, Lisa, you're going to do these celebrations.
Yeah. So just to continue the celebrations, the HR staff was present at the new teacher orientation this year by supporting our new teachers in understanding their pay, their benefits, helping them with enrollment, answering their questions as we could. And we had a big group of new teachers, so it was exciting to be there and see all the energy with them. The HR team is here to support all staff with all aspects of employment, from our administrators to our certified and support staff, guest teachers and volunteers. We are here from the hiring process to help them understand their pay, their leave, their healthcare benefits, help with teacher certification, help them understand the ASRS retirement and how to contact ASRS with questions, how to get their account set up. Again, with Bethany, fingerprinting, ID badges, and so much more. So, this is a celebration in my eyes. Our district's experience rating, which is also known as a loss ratio, with our healthcare benefits, our medical and RX has improved tremendously over the past year. In 2022, we had a 95.8 rolling 12, which is counting back from 12 months, and a 123.9% rolling 24, which means our claims were much higher than the premiums we were paying to our provider. In 2023, I'm happy to report that those numbers have improved to 81.2% rolling 12 and an 88% rolling 24. And what that means for the district, in addition to the celebration that it means our employees are healthier and not having those high cost claims, it also makes us, puts us in a more favorable position for rate increases, or if we would decide to shop around for other healthcare providers, it puts us in a much better position for that as well. So just some photos of our benefit fair, which was very well attended. And next slide. Okay. So in 2023-2024, our benefit and wellness program kicked off with our benefit fair, which was attended by over 300 staff members. We held that at Liberty Elementary in the multipurpose building. We had 16 vendors present that provided a variety. A lot of our healthcare providers were there to answer questions for our employees, and we had some we had Skin IO there on site doing skin cancer screenings, had some chair massages, some fun things for our employees to do as well while we're there. We also had our benefit consulting firm there, and they provided 3 benefit presentations. We kind of did an open house, staggered starts, and they provided benefit presentations for all employees that were there. At the end of September and early October, the district hosted vaccine clinics, and I'm happy to report that 87 employees received 126 vaccines. So that's exciting that we had great participation with that. We also held our fall wellness campaign, which was focused on connecting with family and friends, healthy diet, meal prep, increased exercise, and focus on carving out time for self-care, which is really important, especially this busy time of year, time to enjoy hobbies and just unplug from technology. We had 95 district employees that registered for the wellness campaign. So that's super exciting. A couple of things coming up. We have our mom coming to visit. That's our mobile on-site mammography. We have that coming to 2 locations. And then we'll also be doing biometric screenings early in the year, the months of January and February. Those will be a lab program where employees can call in and schedule to come to the lab early in the morning for that fasting blood work. And that gives them a very extensive blood panel workup so they can take that to their doctor, have those results sent to their doctor. So those are some of the exciting things that are going on with our benefit and wellness program.
Good evening. These are just some pictures of our job fair that we held last year at Blue Horizons, and that was very well attended as well. Thank you. This is just some hiring data that we put together. As of November 6th, we have hired 88 certified staff members and 53 non-certified staff members. All last year for the 22-23 school year, we hired 83 certified and 99 non-certified. In 21-22, we hired 69 certified and 62 non-certified. Some things to note for FY22, we did add the K-5 at Blue Horizons. And then FY23, we added 6-8 at Blue Horizons. So that increased the number of teachers that we had to do or hire for, as well as non-teaching positions. And then, of course, with our growth, depending on classroom sizes, adding the teachers to help those classroom sizes. FY24, we were able to hire more highly qualified teachers and fill positions with certified teachers that were previously filled with contracted teachers. Last year, FY23, we had 5 contracted teachers. FY24, we started with 0 contracted teachers. As of November, we did hire 1 contracted teacher. But the thing to note is we did have 2 qualified teachers apply for that position, but because of their current contract commitments, we were unable to hire them. Both of them did reach out after the fact and did state that they would be applying for openings with Liberty coming up for the next school year. FY23, we had 17 full-year long-term sub-teachers in classrooms. This year, FY24, we have 6. So that was a drastic decrease in those in the classrooms. And the ones that we do have in the classrooms have provided documentation that they are in a teaching program. And we do have 2 that are set to complete their program in December and will be should be certified in January. FY23 contracted support staff, we had 9 and they were in para positions. This year we have 0. So that was another huge celebration that we were able to hire all of those positions within. Thank you.
Good evening. So we want to talk about recruitment and retention. Things we want to do is, of course, obviously continue to provide excellent customer service to all staff, certified, support, contracted, whatever they need, we're here to help and support them with whatever issue they may be facing in their work lives, as well as sometimes in their personal lives if there's something we can help them through benefits or the EAP. We are also we're starting to work towards making a much more efficient and effective process for employees with our HR systems, so that we can make it more of a one-stop shop for people, through hiring, onboarding, receiving their contracts, signing up for their benefits, all the sorts of things that the staff have to do on a regular basis, and they're at this point in time having to log into different websites or different things and having different passwords and having to learn all these different platforms in order to do something that we're hoping to put all in one platform. I think that will really help save people some mental anguish. We also would like to start to, or we will continue researching ways to increase the guest teacher pool. Of course, if we have enough subs to cover every absence every day, that's certainly going to help in teacher morale and retention. Recruitment for FY24, the big word there is a 4-day school week. People last year and this year, knowing that we have the 4-day school week, are very interested. Even if they don't know about Liberty or they're not sure, when they hear 4-day school week, that gets their attention. If we're at a job fair, they come on over. I tell you, people looking for student teacher placements, they love to hear about the 4-day school week. I think we're getting a lot more student teachers with that, which student teaching is a great recruitment tool. Not only do we get to introduce a teacher to our district or a future teacher to our district and have them see how wonderful we are, but we also get to see them in action and see if there's somebody we'd like to consider adding to our certified staff, which we often do. We also have, so we have a lot of job fairs. So in the spring or fall, they usually have job fairs through the universities for recruitment for student teachers. Student teachers are looking for placements for the end of their program. So we've been out to a couple of those. We're actually scheduled to go to one tomorrow where we meet with students who are getting ready to enter student teaching. And like I said, that's a great recruitment tool. If we can get them to come here, learn about us, live the 4-day school week, and we also get to see them. It's like an audition for a possible job. The other thing that's great about those is a lot of times at those job fairs in the fall, you will also meet graduating students who are looking for an actual teaching position. You'll meet alumni from GCU, ASU, whatever school you happen to be at, that are looking for a teaching position. And when they see 4-day school week, they get really excited. So it's always a help to have that there. Job postings and advertisements. There's a list of places where we post jobs. Of course, on our own website and the Arizona Education Employment Board, which is great for recruiting out-of-state teachers who are looking to relocate to Arizona. Most of them go there first to look to see what's available out here. We have partnerships with all the local universities, ASU, NAU, GCU, Australia Mountain Community College, you name it, University of Phoenix, we work with them. There's a lot of other new programs out now for teachers who may have a bachelor's degree but still need their teaching certification work. We work with them. There's Teachers for Tomorrow, Troops to Teachers. There's a wide variety of programs now available for people to want to become teachers. We also post jobs on Indeed, LinkedIn, Facebook. We put some postings in the West Valley View. We go on Monster and jobbing.com, as well as specialized websites if we're looking for something in particular. For instance, the gifted vacancy that we have, that has been posted on the Arizona Association for Gifted and Talented since the summer. So that's a place that we go to look for something specific. We're also working on, actually Courtney, our information director, is working on a new recruitment video for the district that will include employee testimonials, focus on the school signature programs, as well as emphasize the 4-day school week. And that's it. So go for it.
I just want to talk a little bit about, as you know from the board updates, we are currently going through an examination of the salary study. So we do have an accounting firm that is gathering data from several different districts. And when we get those results back, some of the things are, where are we in comparison with other districts and like districts? We know we're not going to compare to districts that have 15,000, 20,000 students, but districts that are similar to us, where are we? Are we high? Are we low? Are we in the middle? Do we have any outliers? Do we have people who are placed wrong when they came in right away that we need to fix and stabilize? And we also have to be realistic and prioritize, where are we going to start these corrections? If we get $500,000 worth of corrections, we have to sit down and, of course, with the governing board input and say, where are we going to start these corrections? What group are we going to start with these corrections? So we do not have the data back yet, but I am anticipating and hoping that we get it back before Christmas. Looking ahead. Looking ahead, this is an outline of just some of the things that we have coming up right after Christmas break and throughout the spring. So in January, we plan to bring the 2024-2025 work calendars to you as a board for approval. An intent to return letter is sent to certified staff, asking them if they intend to return or not. That will help us with looking ahead for staffing. How many teacher openings will we have? That will really help us with staffing. Then into January, a form called Express Preference sent to certified staff. Do you want to stay at this building, or no, you know what, I think I want to teach first grade at another building. And so the staff will have input, and it's called the Express Preference, if they're interested in teaching a different grade level, a different building. About February, certified staff approved for contract issuance for the 24-25. We really try to get contracts out as early as possible. Right now, our attorneys have a copy of the contract so they can look it over. We can get approval, and then really in January start getting those contracts out. February 14th is our target date to issue contracts for certified staff. So that's our certified. February, March, we will do the Liberty Job Fair. We'll bring administrators' contracts to the board for approval and issuance. We don't have an exact date, but it's February, March-ish. March, April, bring support staff contracts and work agreements to the board for approval. And then in May, we do our benefits open enrollment for the 24-25 school year. Questions?
Members, any questions?
I have just a couple comments. I love the all-in-one platform for the hiring. That's gonna, I think, help a lot in getting people on board, plus dealing with whatever situation arises. It's always a nightmare whenever you have to jump here, there, whenever. So that's a great direction. And looking, at the graph that was shown about the amount of certified staff that we've been able to recruit this year is great to see, that many more certified staff coming on. And HR, you always get the negative calls. Just a plug for the staff out there, call HR every once in a while and say, hey, how you doing? To give them some good feedback. So that's always a good thing. So that's what I got. Thank you all for all you do. You guys do great work, and I greatly appreciate this update. Thank you.
Board Member Bixler.
Yes, I also have a comment and a couple questions. I agree. A robust, responsive HR department really makes a big difference in the quality of life of our employees. I think it goes a long way for our retention efforts. So I congratulate you on your efforts to do that. So that I think is a good direction to go. I did have a couple quick questions. The first, you had talked about going to the job fairs and talking with potential students for student teaching and so on. In the past, it's been quite a bit more dominated by alternatively certified people. Are we starting to see a shift where we're starting to see more traditionally pre-certification programs now? Is that what we're starting to see? No. So we're mostly still alternative certified?
I need you to come to the microphone for the record.
I'm sorry. And Karina was just at a job fair, so she can.
So alternative certified teachers are actually certified teachers.
Right, but the process is what I'm talking about.
Contract, whereas a student teacher is still in the process of finishing their degree. They do have a student teacher certificate now. That is a program that some universities have, and as long as the applicant fits the criteria for that, they can sometimes achieve that certificate and also receive a contract. But more often than not, it will to receive a contract, you'll need your bachelor's degree, which means you'd be on an alternative certificate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure what. It sounds like there's kind of a melding of a pre-cert program and the alternative, so that if you're working towards something, you can actually double it up and end up somewhere else as well. So I'm glad they're doing that. That makes a lot of sense. So I just wish it was a stronger pre-cert. Slide number 9 is a bar graph.
Oh, yep, that's, yep.
And I just want to make sure I understand what's being said. As far as the non-certified staff in 23-24, what that is saying is that we've hired about 50 for this year. Is that correct? Is that what that's telling me?
We've hired 88 certified and 53
Non-certified.
So that's all the support staff.
Right, and that's about 50?
Yeah, 53.
How many of those were replacement versus new positions? Probably not many, right?
Many. I mean, we've added additional special education paras.
Right, I know we've added some.
Bus drivers, because we've had to add bus routes with
Bus drivers.
and offering transportation, and just how many kids are riding the buses, and bus aides. The preschool program keeps growing, so that was an additional, I think, 6 paras this year that we've hired, maybe more. So it's kind of a 50-50 shot. Some of those positions do have a high turnover rate, so you know we have to replace those positions a lot more than some of our other
I see.
staff.
Okay. Yeah, I just wondering if they were new or okay, thank you.
Board Member Aguirre.
I had a question for Lisa.
Yes, sir.
So when you say 2023, when it comes to the benefits, you're talking January of 2023, correct? Where it says on slide 5.
Are you talking about loss ratio? No, I was actually talking about the calculations that I have, the 81.2 and the 88 were from an October report that Gallagher provided from August calculations, from August information. So August of 2023.
Okay, so that's where they're starting then. That's the base point, is August of 2023.
That was the most recent report that I have from them. I do have a report directly from ASBATE that has medical and RX loss ratio has improved to 62.82%. So we are seeing that loss ratio improve even more.
Right. Okay. I was wondering, can you speak to, I mean, what's the reasoning? What's the reason for that? Is it a combination of we had some high cost folks drop off?
Yes, we have had, the prior year, we had 8 claimants, I believe, that were, over $65,000 for each claimant. So that was a significant amount that we were paying. Also, if you remember during the COVID era, a lot of people put healthcare examinations and things on the back burner. And then when we came out of that, a lot of them did go for surgeries and things. So we saw kind of an uptick. And now I think we're seeing that level off. We're also seeing, you know, as evidenced by participation in our wellness programs, I think that people are putting more emphasis on their wellness as well. So happy to see that improvement in our experience rating. So
Okay. Because if I remember correctly, it was last year we had some folks who wouldn't even give us a number.
exactly. We are hoping that that situation has improved this year. We did dipped a toe in the water. We did not go out for RFP last year because of our experience rating. Particularly the rolling 24 was especially bad. But we have improved to the point where we feel like we are marketable if we should choose to go out for an RFP this year.
Okay. Thank you.
Not to interrupt, but we are constantly, no, you're fine. We're constantly looking to get the best benefit package for employees. That's something that's always on our radar. So if we have to at some time go back for RFPs, that's what we will do, because we always keep an eye on that. And this rolling rating really will help us get back and be able to get quotes and get RFPs.
Yeah, I just hope, and I hear what you're saying, I just hope that there's an understanding that to switch benefit providers is a big deal for the individual user.
I agree. It's a huge deal, and it's not something
Right.
we would look into lightly.
People want to keep their own doctor that they've had. They want to keep, so yes, we definitely consider all of those things.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lisa. I know you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Board Member Parks.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Just a couple things. First and foremost, I heard customer service mentioned several times. I can't emphasize enough how much that makes me happy to hear those words. Customer service is critical to everything we do, internally, externally. You've heard me say it many times, so I applaud you all for using that word and not just using it, but executing to it. So that's great. I do have a question. The guest teachers, I know you want more. We have some permanent guest teachers at each campus that were grant funded. Can we, and I don't expect you to have this tonight, but it just kind of popped in my head, so I'm sorry for a short notice, but can you maybe get us a report just of what the utilization of those positions have been over the last couple of years? I think that will help us in budget process. We've asked for some information on reading interventionists and also those teacher positions. So again, not expected tonight, but just a heads up, I'll be asking for that when we do budgets. Other than that, again, thank you. Customer service was great. It's great to see all of you, your whole team come to this meeting. So thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Our next item of business is item 5.1, governing board updates. We'll start down at the end. Board Member Parks.
Thank you, President Todd. I have to give a big shout out to the West Star PTO. I attended their carnival and it was a huge success. I mean, you could barely get through the crowd. There were so many people there, and it sure is nice to see, all the parents and teachers and everybody participating in those programs, and it just shows how great our schools are doing. And again, PTO did a wonderful job. This morning I got to attend the awards for Honor Roll at Estrella, and that's a lot of fun watching those kids. And Ms. Boris does a great job trying to recognize just about every kid that we can. It was a great morning. I had a fabulous time watching, and the kids were running around happy as could be. So anyway, thank you all for your wonderful effort and making sure the kids have a wonderful time.
Board Member Guar.
Nothing.
Board Member Bixler.
Yeah, I got to finish up with the Thanksgiving celebrations, went to 3 different campuses and was in attendance and helped out with the celebration of Thanksgiving on all those 3 campuses. It was amazing because they were all very, very similar as far as operation, but also really, really, really different. Went to Freedom first and had a couple of 8th grade recruits, Giovanni and Kristen, that just did a wonderful job helping keep track of the maintenance of the room and keeping things going. I really appreciate those students coming forward and helping out. Something else that I discovered at Freedom I had never seen before, as the students were finishing lunch, a couple of them pulled out math flashcards and started practicing their math skills, their math facts. I've never seen students do that at a lunch, and it was just incredible. And later found out that there's chessboards there and so on. Terrific idea. Then went over to Blue Horizons and worked with them. And normally it takes a village to do a Thanksgiving. It takes an entire city to do Blue Horizons because it was just so busy. They eventually opened up 2 rooms. At one point they were both full, and things were just moving all over the place. And I got to compliment the staff there in that cafeteria. It was hustling the whole time that I was there, and that's about 3 hours, and fed everybody. So good job on the staff and the volunteers that were there to make that happen. Finally ended up at Las Brisas, and their celebration, again, it was wonderfully well attended, lots of stuff going on. For those of you that were there, if you stayed long enough, it became a dance party. Mrs. Schaefer turned on the music and everybody was dancing. So it was, I don't know if it was a combination of fatigue and not thinking very well or what, but it became a dance party at the very end. It was a whole lot of fun. Later, I did have a chance to go and be a part of the Liberty Elementary School coffee with the superintendent. Excellent conversation about student performance. What a terrific time it was to sit and talk. And then finally, I also went to the Estrella Mountain grade point average celebration, and I agree. It was so cool watching those kids go up there and how much they treasured what they had gotten. And in some of the kids' instances, it was the first time they had ever been recognized for something good, and you could see it. It was amazing. So, well done, Mr. Board.
Board Member Kenyan.
Kind of echoing last time I spoke on this, just seeing everything that's going on in the district, what our newsletters that the campus has put out, the social media posts that is going on. There's a lot going on in schools, and it's wonderful to see what's happening or what happened throughout the Thanksgiving season. Now we're looking forward to Christmas, right? Other than that, it's just wonderful to see what's going on. I do want to thank the administration for setting up, just prior to this general meeting, we had our work study session with Miss Amy Castellanos from the ASBA, and she's been really good. I think we had a really good self-evaluation meeting as a board, and I appreciate that being there, and I'm looking forward to future meetings. Thank you.
Mr. President, can I just interrupt 1 second? There was one thing I wanted to add real quick. Tomorrow night is another opportunity to be a part of the Math Connections presentation at Liberty School District office in here. Please come be a part of that. This was something that a couple of us board members were able to be a part of. Parents, come see what we're doing as far as teaching your students math. It's worth it. You'll enjoy it. It only takes about an hour. You'll learn a lot here at 5 p.m. Tomorrow.
Felt that like we interrupt this news to bring you more news. So it was great. I just have a couple of things. We had a great opportunity since I was elected to the board. I've asked administration that we start working with our student governments and National Junior Honor Societies to hear from them, include them in some special activities. And Dr. Monroe accepted the challenge, and we hosted all of our campuses this week. They're either their student councils, or if they didn't have a student council, they're a National Junior Honor Society group. For an hour working lunch here in the district office. We had Mayor Osborne from Buckeye and Mayor Pizzillo from Goodyear. Anytime you can get one mayor for 10 minutes, you're doing pretty good. To get two mayors for a little over an hour, it shows the investment that these elected officials are showing in our district, and it both came. I will say they both blended right in with the kids quite well, and I mean that in a very positive way. But we took an opportunity with Dr. Monroe and myself to talk a little bit about leadership, teach kids a little bit about what we know and how we got to what we're doing with our elected positions, and then held a working lunch to talk to them about the 4-day work week. And we broke them up in groups. We had 3 groups. I had a group, Mayor Pizzillo had one, Mayor Osborne had one, and went over what their thoughts of the 4-day week were. It was very interesting. Dr. Sloat was present. As you know, he is the king of data and extracting data and then trying to make sense out of the data as well. I think he said he felt he came back with some great information. Overall, the feedback from the students was very positive, but they were so excited to be in the room with the mayors, be in the room with Dr. Monroe, but then to have a voice. And the teachers, the staff that brought them, prepared them to say, you have a voice. We kind of talked about working with elected officials. I made a comment to a soccer player from Las Brisas, and I said, always invite your elected officials, the mayor, city council, senator, be involved, get them to know what you're doing. She says, soccer game, 4:30 today, right here. I said, let me clear my schedule. So I attended a soccer game here as well between Las Brisas and Liberty. So kudos to Bruce for having the aggressive staff or aggressive student who pinned me right down. And I tried to punt it hard to the mayors. They quickly had other things on their calendar, I'm sure. But no, all joking aside, it was a great opportunity, and it was just really exciting to see every table engaged. At, I would say, 1 to 10, they were like a 12. Every single table was really going through. Ms. Camp, you were here for part of it, and it was hard to keep up with. So the future is bright here. We've got some great leaders. It was very funny, Mayor Pizzillo and Mayor Orsborn. Mayor Pizzillo was, he's probably senior to the rest of us, but he said, man, it's important that these kids are doing well. When I'm fully retired, they're going to be running this place, and I want to make sure that they can fix all the mistakes I've made and do other good things. And I feel the same way. So joking aside with the mistakes, but it was just a great opportunity, and every student said, can we do this again? Can we come back more? And it wasn't because they wanted to get out of class. They just really missed their lunch period. Miss Minnie coordinated lunch for them, and it would not be anything but unacceptable if I didn't mention Miss Dondi over in transportation, who right in the middle of a shortened day got to do transportation from every school, get the kids here and back. So with that, we appreciate it and look forward to doing that many more times. They got to raise their hand, take a little oath, kind of like a swearing in of their student council or junior honor society, and it was a great event. So thank you for that. Next up will be item 6.1, guidelines for public comment, or for our public comment actually. Just as a reminder, this falls in Arizona ARS 38431. We have 3 minutes. Your timer will be there when I call your name. Your time will start when you start speaking. Just as a reminder, in all instances, the board cannot comment back to you, and you really shouldn't try to put any attacks on anybody or that nature. So I ask that you keep it professional, and we'll move forward with our first speaker, William Bretner.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent. My name is William Bretner, and longtime Estrella Mountain Ranch resident and Liberty 25 taxpayer. I have basically three aspects of my little talk here. One is the good. My two kids went through Estrella Mountain Elementary, graduated in 2003, 2004. The older student was #1 at Estrella Foothills High School, #1 in the College of Science at the University of Arizona, got her PhD, and is currently a postdoctorate fellow at Arizona State University. My younger student graduated with his engineering degree and is currently working at a local body cam manufacturer. Now, the second aspect of the speech is the lack of focus of the board over the intermediate past, which I don't believe was focused on education as much as they could or should be. And the last part of it is the great news, and that is that my neighbors and parents in my neighborhood who are Liberty 25 school board taxpayers fully support Superintendent Court Monroe, and they support the board, Michael Todd, members Brian Park and Chris Kenyan. Going forward, this is truly a good one, and we thank them for all their transparency, honesty, and the good work they've done since May. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next will be Elwood Kunstler.
Good evening, Superintendent, President Todd, and board members. At the November 13th Liberty 25 school board meeting, Ms. Kelly Zimmerman told a severe lie about our superintendent. And this lie was picked up by the media, and the article is in here. Kelly is on the front page. Kelly said, and I quote, "Is Dr. Monroe going to be in the executive meeting? The super was not at the board meeting, and there was no reason why he should be at the executive meeting." Okay? This is just another attempt to throw garbage out there and hope somebody slops it up. The scrutiny mentioned was an anonymous email from people in Queen Creek, which Mr. Todd quickly addressed that anonymous emails are not considered by the board. The item in the newspaper said, the proposed executive session Monday faced scrutiny from the public due to transparency and concerns. The only public that had any concerns since May, in my opinion, is Mr. Aguirre and Mr. Bixler and Ms. Zimmerman. Those are it. Those are the only people in here. And Mark Aguirre and Mr. Bixler jumped on that bandwagon on the 13th and just threw out all kinds of accusations, stuff that was just not true and has never been true, just to stir up trouble. And that's the way it's going to be all the time. I can tell you that right now. I don't know what they got against Dr. Monroe other than the fact that they love Dr. Schuff. And she was one of the worst superintendents ever in this school district. After doing my own survey and talking to some people at churches and parents and in the public, it appears that since May, no one has seen a problem or has spoken out against Dr. Court Monroe, other than those two and Ms. Zimmerman, okay? So listen, I watched you guys in the study session tonight. I watched all that interaction and all those questions that were asked about the right thing to do. Let's get it together, fellas. You got to support this board. You got to support this superintendent because they're doing the right thing and they're going in the right direction. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Chrissy Brown.
Good evening, Mr. Superintendent, Mr. President, Board. I'm Chrissy Brown. I'm a West Star parent. I have one who's graduated from West Star in 22, and I have one who's currently in West Star now. I love the school. I love what it's doing. I've loved sitting here and listening to you guys. And coming from Texas, where I had the most outstanding superintendent, I was very disappointed with Dr. Schuff. I like him. He's outstanding. So let me just say what I gotta say. We, the people and the parents of the Liberty 25 School Board, fully support Superintendent Mr. Court Monroe, Board President Mr. Michael Todd, and board members Brian Parks and Chris Kenyan. The direction going forward is truly a good one, and we thank them all for their transparency, honesty, and the good work that they have done since May. I like you guys. Okay, thank you.
Next up, members, will be item 7.1 consent agenda.
I'd like to have items 7.3 and 7.4 pulled, please.
Okay, anything else? I will take a motion to approve 7.1, and then we'll come back and discuss 7.3 and 7.4 individually.
Mr. President, I move that we approve items 7.1 and 7.2 on the consent agenda.
I have a motion to approve 7.1 and 7.2. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is that Board Member Parks?
Yes.
Okay. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks?
Yes.
Board Member Aguirre?
Yes.
Board Member Bixler?
Aye.
Board Member Kenyan?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show items 7.1 and 7.2 on the consent agenda is approved. And we will now move to 7.3, Board Member Aguirre.
Yeah, just again, and I guess I'll just probably continue to ask this question of, again, multiple listings of classroom coverage, multiple amounts for those individuals who have more kids than contractually what they're supposed to be responsible for, correct? That's what classroom coverage means?
No,
No.
not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. Classroom coverage is when we don't have a substitute to wholly cover that class. So as I stated, that chart that I sent in the board update, it could be different amounts because sometimes we split classes two ways. or they split classes 3 ways, or somebody comes in and covers for a half a day, somebody else covers for the other half a day. So that chart delineates that there's different ways that there is classroom coverage.
But again, there's not enough teachers.
There's not enough subs.
Right.
It's it's substitute teachers.
Teachers.
Yes,
right.
it's substitutes.
Teachers.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just think that that's something that possibly need to start looking at, of that we keep saying that we're 100% sure we had one vacancy, but yet in my mind, if I'm the public and I look at this and I see classroom coverage and then I hear that we actually have teachers who have more kids than what they contractually you're supposed to have within their classroom.
I think this is one of
I think that we need to go ahead and
That it's not always that they have extra kids in their classroom. Sometimes they're going in and covering. So it might be on their planning period, they're going in and covering another class. So sometimes it's not always extra kids in their classroom. That's why the chart I sent delineated why there's different amounts and what those amounts are for. There are sometimes that there's extra kids, but not all the time.
and the public doesn't see that. They just see this. So that's all.
If I could add something just for public awareness, it was a year ago that we literally had classrooms that had, the students had 3 or 4 different teachers in a year. That's highly destructive. The fact that we don't have superintendent or substitutes every once in a while, I think we've come a long way.
And I believe this policy has been in place for about 2 years now, at least, for classroom coverage payment.
Or longer.
Of when?
November of 2022.
Yep, November 28th, 2022.
All right. Any other discussion on 7.3? Okay, I'll take a motion and a second.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 7.3.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion by Board Member Bixler, a second by Board Member Kenyan. When I call your name, specify your vote. Board Member Parks?
Yes.
Board Member Aguirre?
Yes.
Board Member Bixler?
Aye.
Board Member Kenyan?
Aye.
I'm also, and I will show that I approve 5 yes, 0 no. Next up will be item 7.4. Board Member Aguirre.
It's just wanting to know what this is all about, and if Dr. Monroe could explain it a little bit more.
Sure. Member Aguirre, I'll actually read from the board agenda, and I've included it in the board update as well, but for the public. It's recommended the governing board approve the superintendent attend the AASA National Conference on Education in San Diego in February of 24. This conference is designated to provide the latest insights, strategies, best practices to help lead a school district. From improving student outcomes to navigating complex regulations and funding structures, AASA's National Conference on Education, which is not ASBA related, provides tools to create positive change in a school district and improve education for all members. AASA member registration conference fee is $855 plus related travel, expenses of hotel reservations, meals, mileage reimbursement. It's recommended that the governing board approve the superintendent, Dr. Court Monroe, myself, to attend the conference, the National Conference on Education in San Diego in February 2024.
So I understand what it says in the board agenda. I was just wondering if you could explain it a little bit more.
Sure. Member Aguirre, like any employee who we value their growth and development in their position, the superintendent is no different. And so to be able to meet with other superintendents from not only Arizona, but around the nation provides great networking and learning to be able to bring back to the district. So the district is only going to be as good as their leader. And to me, I strive to be a leader who learns and strives to get better all the time. And so this is an attempt for the board to support their leader in his or her professional growth.
Because the reason why I ask about this in particular is I thought that there was other conferences here within the state that your association puts on.
There are conferences that are put in that happen in Arizona around the state, and I do attend those. Yes.
Okay. And I guess I'm just wondering what separates this one from those?
I would say you're going to get a better quality of an experience. Here, you get the Arizona perspective, whereas when you're outside with national superintendents from all around the country, it's very valuable to find out some of the practices they're doing in Texas and California and in other areas that we may be able to replicate and make our own here in Arizona. So that's very, very significant, as opposed to just surrounding yourself with Arizona superintendents, which again, I do as the superintendent.
Because I thought within the, I thought within the interim contract that there was some allowances to attend some conferences.
Correct.
So if there's allowances, how come you're not using those allowances?
Minnie, do you want to speak to some of the details of that? We haven't vetted a lot of the money approval on the conference quite yet, only a little bit, because first we wanted to take it to the board to make sure that we were supported, and maybe Aaron, maybe you can also comment on that. In the superintendent contract, there is amounts for superintendent's professional learning in the contract that was drawn up, the interim contract. Do you want to come up and speak to that a little bit, Aaron?
President Todd, members of the board, in Dr. Monroe's current contract in section N, it states with respect to professional activities and conferences, and I think this is why it's on the agenda specifically, it says subject to prior board approval and any applicable budget restrictions, superintendent shall be authorized to participate in professional activities and conferences at the local, state, or national level, and shall be reimbursed by the governing board for expenses related thereto. The governing board shall be notified in advance if superintendent participates in a professional activity or conference that takes him away from his duties for more than 2 consecutive workdays. So under the contract, the board has approval authority for a contract, for an activity like this. If any questions by anyone on the board?
Just so I understand that, what you just read, basically in the current contract that Dr. Monroe's under, we still have to approve it before he could go, and then, I mean, it's in the contract that he would be reimbursed. This is just approving him to be able to go.
So under the contract, Dr. Monroe is doing what he's supposed to do, which is to bring it to the board to request approval. Board has a final say on whether he gets to attend or not.
Thank you.
Members, I believe in our work session, we had a discussion about networking at multiple levels. I don't see this cost to be very expensive. In fact, the ASBA conference that we attend is the better part of this cost that we attend to give the superintendent an opportunity to get outside of Arizona. Keep in mind, I think we're somewhere down around 48, and Education Mississippi might have us beat by 1. Maybe we're 47. I think it's a great idea to allow him to expand and get out and see what some other places are doing. So I'm very supportive of this opportunity. It's not like we're headed to Hawaii for 2 weeks. I think this is good expenditure.
Mr. President, can I have the floor?
You may.
I find this to be a little disingenuous. Last year, Mr. Aguirre approved, I think it was about $5,000 for an IT staff member to go to an IT conference. So, and we all know what happens at IT conferences, don't we? So let's just remember, this is our job, this is what we do, and we've got to stay consistent.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
Mr. President, I motion that we approve the Superintendent Dr. Court Monroe to attend the AASA National Conference on Education in San Diego on February 2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Dr. Court Monroe to attend the AASA National Conference in San Diego. Call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks?
Yes.
Board Member Aguirre?
Yes.
Board Member Bixler?
Aye.
Board Member Kenyan.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Will show that approved. 5 yes, 0 no. That clears our consent agenda. We will now move to item 8.1, discussion, consideration, and possible action to amend the current interim superintendent contract. Mr. Brown, I think you have some updates on this, perhaps?
President Todd, members of the board, this proposal is to make a minor adjustment to the current contract of Dr. Monroe. It is found in section 1B under term. And what that amendment would do would be to amend the following language, quote, "The governing board may offer to extend or renegotiate this interim superintendent to a standard superintendent contract after," and it currently reads January 1st of 2024. The amendment would be to change it to November 1st of 2023. And that would be the sole amendment to the contract. And I would also point out that this is standard procedure in terms of amendments to contracts. In section let's see, so the last paragraph of the contract, it addresses integration and amendments, and it states that, quote, "No modification or amendment hereto shall be valid or binding upon either party unless such amendment or modification is in writing, duly executed by the parties, and properly approved by the governing board," so that the contract also has a clause to allow for an amendment. It's my opinion that that's consistent with Arizona law in a situation like this, if the board has questions.
Members, any questions?
Just one. On our packet, it says it's changing to July 1st, and you just stated November 1st. I just want to clarify that.
Well, the amendment is to amend the contract to open it up for renegotiation effective November 1st. Let me look at the.
Are you looking at 8.1 or 8.2?
Yeah, what I'm looking at, this amendment language will allow negotiations for this contract beginning. So it would be the new contract, Board Member Kenyan. In other words, I think what you're referring to is the background statement for item 8.1. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so my reading of that is the current interim superintendent contract language for the 2023-24 fiscal year states that negotiations for a standard superintendent contract will occur after January 1st, 2024. The amendment language will allow negotiations for the standard superintendent contract beginning July 1st to occur after this amendment. In other words, the new contract will become effective July 1, 2024, and this will allow negotiations for that after it's amended, effective November 1st. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I had a question.
Okay.
So last meeting, the board took action to go ahead and approve Court Monroe as permanent superintendent. But yet in here, just like you stated, under 1B, it says that can't take place till after January 1st.
Well, negotiations for the new contract is what.
Yeah, it actually says governing board may offer to extend or renegotiate this interim superintendent to a standard superintendent contract after January 1 of 2024. Mm-hmm. So the governing board took action to go ahead and extend it to a permanent at the last governing board meeting before we added this amendment. So the governing board put the cart in front of the horse is what I'm saying.
Well, I think this can be read different ways, Board Member Aguirre. The governing board may offer to extend or renegotiate this interim superintendent to a standard superintendent contract after January 1. And I would agree that this would backdate it to November 1st to allow for what happened previously.
Right.
And
So the validity of what the governing board did at the last meeting wasn't contractually correct.
well, if the contract is amended, then I don't see a problem with that.
But we already took action.
But the contract,
And the meeting minutes were approved.
okay.
Right.
And I think that if the contract is amended, then that would be appropriate to address that if it should have happened afterwards.
And I agree that we should go ahead and accept that the validity of the action that the governing board took at the last meeting wasn't actually correct, and that the correct way of doing it is to go through the process that we're actually getting ready to go through right now of amending and then authorizing it, right, to renegotiate. But we chose not to do that. And the reason, and the question that I have is, was council asked about the action that we took last meeting, and was it approved by council?
I didn't attend last meeting, so I can't speak to what was approved last meeting. I apologize.
Council was present at the last
Your
meeting.
partner was there.
And I can't speak for him. He's not here tonight.
I would
didn't
imagine.
I didn't discuss it with him specifically.
Okay. Because I guess the question that I have is, are we in jeopardy of anything happening to the district legally?
I don't think so. I think if this amendment to the contract is approved, then I think to the extent there's an issue with timing, it would address that issue.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Mr. Aguirre, do you have a proposal of something you'd like to see done to make you feel more comfortable to clear up the actions?
Like to see things done in the steps that they're supposed to be done in. Collaboration. Ask questions. Get with council, get the approval of council, get it in writing. And then we avoid these embarrassing moments in front of the public that the governing board took action on something they probably should have just waited a minute, gone through the proper steps. That way it shows that the governing board is prepared. That's the only complaint I have.
Members, discussion on this, we can go back on this. We can continue forward with legal counsel's permission. I think he's saying it's okay to move forward, or we can just clean it all the way up. Your preference.
I'm okay moving forward.
I'll entertain a motion in a second at any time.
Make a motion to amend the current interim superintendent contract. Do I need to say changing the date till November 1st?
Board Member Kenyan, I think you could say amending the current interim superintendent contract, changing the date for, let me get the language this one precise. Authorizing an amendment allowing the governing board to offer to extend or renegotiate this interim superintendent to a standard superintendent contract after November 1st, 2023, rather than January 1st, 2024.
What you said.
Was that the language from the background, Aaron, that you just read to help Board Member Kenyon out?
I
this
just read
motion?
it directly from the contract itself, but you could use the language in the, on the background, that would work as well.
It's just on the background. I don't see the November on there.
You could add that. That's what you and I discussed earlier,
Yep.
which is a bit, could be more clear in adding that November 1st, 2023 date.
Okay, I will try my motion again, or amend my motion. I make a motion that we amend the current interim superintendent contract for the fiscal year 23-24. States negotiations for standard superintendent contract will occur after January 1st, 2004, and change that to November 1st, 2023.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Ms. Camerata, do you have the motion down appropriately in your notes? You can read it back so we make sure legal counsel has it, approves it.
I actually don't, so do you mind giving me the paper that you have so I can read it, please?
Are you looking for the language that was just articulated by Board Member Kenyon?
Yeah. Yes, that's what you want, correct, Board Member Kenyon?
Yes.
Okay.
So once you get it, if you can read it so we can verify that.
Yep.
Language, and the motion was to amend the current interim superintendent contract language for the 2023-24 fiscal year, which states that negotiations for a standard superintendent contract will occur after January 1st, 2024 to November 1st, 2023.
Okay. Board President Todd, Chris, okay. So the motion was to authorize the current interim superintendent contract language for the 23-24 fiscal year that states negotiations for a standard superintendent contract will occur after January of 2024 to November 1st of 2023.
Correct.
Okay.
I would change that just a bit at the very beginning to authorize the amendment of, and then the language that you just read.
Amendment of.
Ms. Cameron, I'll give you time so you can type it into the notes so we make sure we have this right completely.
Okay, one more time. To authorize the amendment of the current interim superintendent contract language for the 23-24 fiscal year that states negotiations for a standard superintendent contract will occur after January of 2024 to November 1 of 2023.
Yes.
Okay.
Brian, do you still second that?
Second.
Okay, after clarification, we still have a concurrence of the motion and the second by Board Member Kenyon, second by Board Member Parks. Legal counsel agrees that that motion is acceptable. Okay, I have concurrence from legal counsel that motion is acceptable. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks.
Yes.
Board Member McGuire.
No.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyon.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show that proof 4 yes, 1 no. Next on the agenda is item 8.2, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize negotiations for a standard superintendent contract, which would be effective July 1st, 2024. Members, this action is proposing the governing board authorize the board president and district legal counsel to negotiate a standard superintendent contract with Dr. Court Monroe to be effective July 1, 2024, and bring the negotiated agreement back to the governing board for approval in a public meeting.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the governing board to authorize the governing board president and the district legal counsel to negotiate a standard superintendent contract with Dr. Court Monroe to be effective July 1st, 2024, and bring the negotiated agreement back to the governing board for approval in a public meeting.
I have a second.
I'll second.
I do have a question on this.
Okay, let's.
So
clarify
what
One
this
second,
is-
sir.
Pardon me?
We have the motion from Kenyan. We have the second from Parks. Now we'll open it up for discussion. Please proceed.
I have a question about this. As far as the term of this contract, if it is rewritten to this thing and approved eventually by the board, would this mean that the superintendent would have a contract that would go until the end of the 24-25 school year?
My understanding is it would be negotiated. The state law allows for up to 3 years.
That's part of my question. When does this end?
That would be
When
part
does
of,
this
that would
contract end?
become part of the negotiations that would then be brought back to the board for approval.
President Todd, members of the board, I want to make sure I understand your question precisely, Board Member Bixler. Can you restate it so that I'm certain about the question I'm answering?
The way that I understand our contractual agreement with Dr. Monroe at this moment is that the contract he's currently under ends June 30th of 24.
That's my understanding as well.
And what this is asking is that we work on negotiating for a contract that would not only include that, but also the next calendar year or beyond. Because I think you're right. I think there are 3 years possible for a superintendent.
I can answer that question. So the current contract, the interim contract, expires by its own terms on June 30th of 2024. So the new contract that the board would be authorizing negotiation of would begin effective July 1, 2024. And under Arizona law, that contract can be for 1 year, 2 years, or up to 3 years. And that's subject to negotiation and approval by the board. So it's at the board's, it's what the board wants in terms of the term of that contract. It can be 1, 2, or 3 years, but no more than 3 years.
Okay, and this doesn't say that we wouldn't even start that negotiation until 24. It would start as soon as it was written up the way that we'd want it, right?
Right. So what you would be authorizing is for the district and council to create a contract, and those terms are negotiable as subject to approval by the board. So specifically with respect to the term, the board could authorize a 3-year contract or a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract. It's the board's decision on what it wants to negotiate. So my experience with this process is generally what will happen is council will put together at the direction of President Todd a draft contract, and that will go back and forth and hopefully come to some sort of an agreement between the two sides. Counsel for the district, it does not act as counsel for Dr. Monroe in this scenario. Oftentimes, superintendents will get their own legal counsel, or they'll just choose to handle it on their own. And then whatever's negotiated will come back to the board for a vote and approval. And the board has discretion in terms of what it wants to do relative to all the terms of the contract, frankly, compensation, benefits, everything.
And just so I understand, again, I'm kind of looking at this as we're about halfway through the contract year right now. And so a 3-year contract would actually be January of 27.
Usually, in my experience, Board Member Bixler, contracts are negotiated on the district's fiscal year, so generally July 1 to June 30.
Right.
And so the new contract would begin July 1 of 2024. And you could set the term, the board could set the term for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. It's your decision on how you want to proceed. And generally, my experience, I've handled this on both sides. I've represented superintendents and I've represented governing boards districts. And that's just negotiated in terms of what both sides are willing to do with respect to the contract. And so it could be July 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025, or it could be July 1, 2024 to June 30, 2026, or to 27. June 30, 27 would be the maximum amount of time that is authorized by statute for a superintendent contract.
Okay, so we're actually looking at two different contracts, one that ends as far as the current, and then 3 years later, if that's what we negotiate?
Right, well, you've already entered into the current contract. That's
Right.
an enforceable contract. There's nothing to negotiate. There's nothing, to my knowledge, that's being renegotiated. The only amendment is the one that was just passed by the board, just opening up the ability to negotiate to November 1st. And so what you're looking at is the next contract for Dr. Monroe as the permanent superintendent. And that contract has yet to be put together or drafted. And then the board can make the term of that contract 1, 2, or 3 years, up to a maximum of 3 years.
And just so I understand, I think that I do, but if we were not in this scenario, we had a continuing superintendent whose contract was coming close to the end of its 3rd year.
Right.
Would this be the timing on when we would start that negotiation for that kind of scenario?
Generally, according to state law, you can start negotiating, I believe, in the last year of a 3-year contract if it's a 3-year contract. If it's a 1-year contract, you can start negotiating, obviously, before the year's up. But if it's a 3-year contract, you have to wait until the end of year 2 to start negotiating the new contract. And my experience is the thinking behind that is because if you don't take care of it with enough time to spare, superintendents, they don't have job security, and it makes it difficult for that district to hold a superintendent who might look elsewhere if they're not assured a new contract.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, because we've already done something I find somewhat questionable about what we just did tonight. But I just don't want to be in a situation where I'm trying to defend the fact that we actually gave a contract to a superintendent for 3.5 years, as long as it's understood that really we're talking 2 contracts.
You are talking about a new contract that would not be effective until July 1st of 24, because you already have a contract in place that carries you through June 30 of 24.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion from Board Member Kenyan. We have a second from Board Member Parks to authorize the board president and legal counsel to begin negotiations for a standard superintendent contract, which would become effective on July 1st, 2024. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks.
Yes.
Board Member Aguirre.
No.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyan.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Will show that proof. 4 yes, 1 no. Members, that now brings us to item 8.3, discussion consideration to approve the IGA amendment for continuation of an articulated computer coding curriculum agreement with TechSmart Incorporated. Ms. Strickler?
That was a mouthful.
Yes, it was.
In collaboration with Westmec, the initial grant provided funding for a 3-year coding instruction program at West Star Elementary. The coding program aligns to state standards and the school's signature program. The vision for the program is to equip students with coding skills beginning in early elementary grades to transition to high school courses in Buckeye Union High Schools. This is the first amendment of the IGA between Buckeye Union High School District and Liberty that was effective July 1, 2022. The amendment is to update the amount to be paid for year 2 to $31,200. All other terms and conditions of the agreement remain in effect. The IGA amendment has been reviewed and approved by legal counsel. The amendment was found to be in proper form and within the powers and authority granted to the governing board pursuant to the laws of the state of Arizona. District administration is asking for the approval of the IGA.
Members, any questions?
I do have one. Ms. Strickler, this is funded through a grant currently?
Yes, it is.
And this grant ends this school year, correct?
This
Or
effective
second
July 1, 2023 through 2024 is year 2. And it's a 3-year grant, so we'll have one more
3-year
year.
grant.
The funding comes directly from WestMec through a grant.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was afraid it was a 2-year. I didn't realize it was 3.
3.
Okay.
I just had a question. It says that the program's at Westar. Can any child from within the district be a part of this program? And will they be bused to Westar?
The program actually expanded, so it's at Westar. We also have it at Liberty and Blue Horizons. So we were able to have 2 additional schools jump on this year. So Westar students are receiving coding curriculum, which was approved as supplemental by the governing board last school year, and then Blue Horizons as well as Liberty.
Will other kids, though, from throughout the district be able to utilize this, or just kids at Liberty, Blue Horizons, and Westar?
Currently just at those 3 schools, and we will see next year if we can onboard any additional schools. We tried to onboard Estrella, and they just weren't ready yet with the amount of training that their staff would have to undergo.
Okay, thank you for that.
So just to be clear, we can expand this to the other schools because this is important to me. I'd like it to be getting to all the schools as quickly as possible. I think this is critical for our curriculum.
Yeah, so in the summer, we will meet with TechSmart and WestMec and see what our expansion would look like to any other schools that are ready for it.
Great, thank you.
Hearing no more questions, I'll take a motion.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve TechSmart curriculum as a service CAS agreement.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion by Board Member Parks, a second by Board Member Kenyan. When I call your name, please specify your vote. Board Member Parks.
Yes.
Board Member Aguirre.
Yes.
Board Member Bixler.
Aye.
Board Member Kenyan.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. We will show that approved 5 yes, 0 no. Next item on the agenda is 9.1 board comments or agenda topic requests. Start at the end. Board Member Parks.
Nothing.
Board Member Aguirre.
Yeah, I just had a couple requests. I'd like to get an opinion from legal counsel on the legality of governing board members using personal picture-taking items and taking pictures of students at the school and then publishing them to their personal social media pages.
Okay.
And then the other one was we had in our governing board update, it was talked about in the spring of an RFP, taking an RFP out possibly for benefits. I'd also like to just make a recommendation that we might want to look into issuing an RFP for our liability insurance provider I don't think that's been done in quite some time. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Board Member Guire, are your opinion on legal counsel for board members using cameras to take photos, would that also include parents that are at events or just board members?
I believe it was just board members.
So you would, okay. All right. Board Member Bixler?
Yeah, after the terrific report we got from Mrs. Camp about how the letter grades are awarded to the different schools in the district, it opened up a thought in my mind. I would like to explore the possibility of recognizing and honor the teachers who, within their instruction, add value to their students' performance. And what I'm saying is the cohort study, looking at the students that exceed beyond what we expect.
Students or teachers?
The students is what we look at, the teachers is who we'd honor.
Okay.
And I think Dr. Sloat could probably figure out how to figure that out. If I understand what the state can tell us, we should be able to say Fred and Susie did well this year, last year, not as good. What was different this year? Am I making sense?
Yes.
I call it value added. It's more than we expect.
Okay.
Board Member Kenyan?
Nothing.
All right, members, hearing nothing else, we have the requested topics. With that, we will move to item 10.1, upcoming board meetings. We have a work session this Monday coming up to continue our work with the Arizona School Board Association, Ms. Castellanos. We then have December 11th for a regular board meeting, January 8th, a regular board meeting, January 20th. That will also be our organizational meeting as well. January 29th, regular board meeting, February 12th, regular board meeting, and February 26th, a regular board meeting. Moving forward from there, we'll move for the adjournment of the meeting.
I move that we adjourn this governing board meeting.
Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Kenyan, a second by Board Member Bixler. And we'll call your name. Please specify your vote. Board Member Parks?
Yes.
Board Member Guire?
Yes.
Board Member Bixler?
Aye.
Board Member Kenyan?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Will show that approved 5 yes, 0 no. Board members, stick around. I think we have documents we need to sign. Nope, just me? Okay, just me. Meeting is adjourned.